Hello, this is Cryptolyze. I hope you are well. This Wednesday, November 8, 2023. It is with pleasure that I meet with you today to talk about BNB, therefore crypto, BNB chain, and Binance. So obviously we're going to talk about it today because we're supposed to have an announcement today. So we're going to anticipate even if I don't have the announcement information yet. I will add a comment at the end of this video to explain to you what it is, and we will talk about it anyway, in all cases in tomorrow's daily, don't worry. So as usual, we are going to dissect this video into two parts. A fundamental part, we will come back to what BNB is, what Binance is, its news, and then we will project ourselves on the prices to see purchase prices, sale prices, averages, long term, and it starts right away. As a reminder, you always have the possibility of having free access to the educational course, which is a 60-hour training course worth €400, which allows you to learn blockchain, crypto, investment, technical analysis, trading, everything to become profitable. Through 130 videos, 400 pages of guides, quizzes to find out where you are in your progress, and all for free. To have access to this lifelong training, simply use the platform of one of our partners. Everything is explained in the comments and descriptions. How can we talk about BNB without talking about Binance? So it's very complicated, even if the BNB at the origin is the crypto of the BNB chain. So which is a blockchain, which is a layer 1, we will discuss it a little later. But obviously when we talk about BNB, we are talking about of Binance, and we have this image here of Binance, we have this logo that stands out, and this is also the strength of this exchange. It is the ability to precisely transform a crypto as being the image, the branding, in fact, of its exchange. And so it's really interesting to see how it was constructed, how it was carried out. Clearly, Binance is still the leader in terms of exchanges. Even if it is starting to decrease in terms of volume, it has fallen back below 50%. But it still remains a leader with more than 48% of the total volume across all cryptos, which is just colossal at one point with the FTX affair. They had reached almost 65%, which was really impressive there. Is starting to have a form of breathing which is rather logical, and also because there are compliance issues that are arising. We can clearly see that Binance is having difficulty, whether in the USA or in certain countries. Europeans, we see that the compliance part is very complicated. In Belgium, they had to leave to return and perhaps even leave again at some point. So it's really complicated, and we feel that it's a drastic investment. Moreover, Binance recently carried out a small downsizing of its teams, but it was relatively light, given that they had recruited a lot in 2021, 2022, and even early 2023, they had continued to recruit in the different polls. So it is logical, at a given moment, when we have a policy of expansion in recruitment, to have, at a given moment, a layoff policy. Because that when we recruit a lot in an acceleration phase, or in any case scaling phase, we will be forced at some point to make redundancies. What is Binance? Well, overall, it's almost the biggest crypto listing that exists. It's the biggest liquidity in crypto that exists, and they have absolutely everything to be able to function. Whether it's the exchange part in which you have everything, you have an academy part, you have a broker part, you have a launchpad part, you even have a wallet called the Trust Wallet. You have absolutely everything running, and you have the BNB chain. So BNB chain, which is the Binance blockchain which was launched. So it's not the very foundation of decentralization. On that we went from 22 validator nodes to 40, a little bit more than 40. But that still remains very, very centralized and very controlled by Binance. The proof being, when there was a bug at a given moment where the person was able to mint 500 million BNB, I believe that that's the amount, but 500 million BNB, well, at that moment, we stopped the blockchain, the BNB chain, and we blocked the funds, something that cannot happen, for example, on Ethereum or Bitcoin. So on this, you just have to be careful. The notion of centralization is very strong, and precisely the notion of interconnection with Binance is very strong, because if we ever have a Binance which has problems, what will happen to the BNB and the funds on it? This is the big question that everyone asks, and it should always be taken into consideration. On the technological side, we have something that is very solid, where we also have two other technologies which are being built on top, where we have precisely the OPBNB and the ZKBNB, which allow us to have transaction fees. Very, very weak, and which are in fact the scalability technologies which are being implemented and developed by the BNB chain team, and this is what currently allows us to have transactions on the BNB chain, at least of 20 centimes overall, when we are not saturated. When we're saturated, it's 35 centimes. This is to really give you an idea. So we are really on something that is very efficient. So besides BNB, what is it used for? It already serves several purposes. 1. Transaction fees. Okay. It is also used within the Binance platform. in which you can pay cheaper transactions and lower transaction fees. It is also used for stacking on your card, if you still have the card and you are not European, because this is the part of things where the card was missing. Has disappeared in Europe. There was even a very strong problem on the management of euros. It is coming back little by little, but it is complicated. That's it. We can change our USDT into euros, but we can't make transfers yet because it hasn't been done yet. So, well, it's taking time. They have problems related to that. But the BNB itself is instantiated in almost all the services that Binance offers. And next to it, we have a burning system which is very strong and which continues to accelerate, in which we have, well, there, you burn systematically. We are at approximately 500 million each time we burn systematically, and it continues to increase each time there is a burning session every quarter. So in terms of news, we currently have BNB Blockchain Week, which is actually the Binance gathering, which starts today, in which we are supposed to have a big announcement. An announcement, as CZ would say, which should bring the billion users to crypto. It's not a small announcement. We're waiting. A lot of that. I gave you my opinion on Twitter, and in any case, as soon as I have the announcement, I will put you on Twitter. I will also put you in comments on these videos, and we will deal with it in all case tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock in the daily. So technically, what happened? Well, technically, we had a big surge following this rumor. We will come back to the news in a short time, but already, technically, we have this accumulation phase, which is specific to the preparation of a bull run. Very, very bullish acceleration, strong with the advent of Binance, where in a few months we went from $43 to $600 because we had a saturation of Ethereum. We had the advent of decentralized finance, a bull run which was in full boom, therefore a monumental injection of liquidity, and therefore behind it we had a very significant profit-taking, and then we set up a distribution of the vault, which is rather classic with a B-karst, and we are currently in the sign of weakness, which is also, again, classic. And this sign of weakness, what is interesting to see, is that we have a very nice accumulation of week-off, which is in progress, in which we have a SCAR STB, liquidity gain here with the breakout of Celsius. And then we have ranging, the classic lateralization, with a second ST, a retest of the STB, in which we are in the process of retesting the lateralization part, which took place in the summer of 2023, in which we have recovered from the news from the SEC, in which we really have the problems of Binance US and the attack of the SEC on all cryptos, and including the BND, in which we have a possibility of securities. So obviously we have a box on bearish very strong, and we are in the process of returning to these levels there, which is relatively interesting what we're going to have to wait for, really. It's going to be the break here of the $260. If we break the $260 very clearly, we're going to get the $301. It's going to be very good very quickly since we have a big imbalance. So we actually have a huge candle in which we have very little volume. We have a bearish volume here and there. We only have liquidation. So that means that we could go very, very quickly look for the upper levels in the $300. And there, obviously, we will certainly have a cleaning of candles with breathing, which would be rather logical. So the announcement effect is pending, and we can clearly see that since we started to have the announcement that we have had a big acceleration, the big T's. If we go to daily, moreover, it is visible even more. We can clearly see here the restoration of candles, bam, bam, and presto. We swallow. And there we are in the process of reworking, which is rather logical because we are in a very resistant zone, strong, in which we sought the equality of this whole part. And we are in a profit-taking of the people who bought here. So it is completely normal to have a profit-taking when we still have, here, 20%, 23% of profits. So we have a first TP which is being carried out. And in any case, in all cases there, currently, we are in the process of ask yourself what the news is. So there, we really have a classic pattern. By the rumor, it's the news. Except that there isn't the news yet, so we haven't yet started the sellout. So it's going to be interesting to see once we still have the rise of the hype. I think we can have the rise of the hype depending on how they are going to script it to go a little higher. If ever is really big news that has no backlash and is something that is groundbreaking. So which really allows us to transform the world of crypto. Here I can tell you that yes, it will be towards 300. Otherwise we risk finding ourselves on a bellows which will fall back to potentially retest the 238 or even a little further down, go and retest here the levels of $230 at the BNB level. That's short-term, long-term. What could we say? We're going to go back to weekly. It's going to be much simpler. Well, we are still in the ranging period. We are in the low period. So for the moment, we are in a spot zone for BNB, which is relatively interesting. We can go and retest, yes, the $180. But as I told you, the 200 zone is held very clearly, I think, by Binance to also maintain its prices and its funds. We do not forget that a large part of Binance's 13th war is linked to BNB. So obviously, if we go for very, very low levels, it risks being very complicated for Binance in the short to medium term, and that currently we have side effects in relation to the event which is happening, and we inevitably have an acceleration of BTC, so there is an increase in volume, and we seek to capitalize on this increase in volume. We do not forget that volume is the heart of life of exchanges. If there is no volume, they do not make fees. If they do not make fees, they cannot survive. And the same, if they don't do liquidation at that point, they also have less income. So what can we expect for BNB? So BNB is an asset that is a little bit special because it is very, very linked to Binance. So obviously if Binance does well, BNB will do well. And second thing, given that we have an asset which is deflationary through the burning technology which is in progress, and in any case the choice of burning which is in progress, we could hope for a big wave 1 and a big wave 2 Elliotist to prepare a big wave 3 with a goal of 1,618 with a BNB that could flirt with $1,300. What is already certain is that what we expect in a weekend distribution is a UT and a UTAD, therefore implying 2 new 88ths which can arrive, and it is in the targets that we will be able to see at the end of the next bull run in which Binance remains the leader. Binance still attracts as much, has the most volume, therefore the most fees, the most burning which is carried out on the BNB, and evaluation of the BNB through the different launch pads, the different cards, and the different products that can be offered. So inevitably, we will have a valuation of the BNB which will accelerate, which will no longer be focused solely on the representation of this. What is a blockchain? Which is the case for all other cryptos, therefore which is the project itself. BNB is more than the BNB chain blockchain. We are really in the notion of the representation of Binance. And this is where we must be very careful. The more we are going to be correlated, the more we are going to be necessarily linked to the news of Binance. We can clearly see it as the acceleration that we have seen. The last days. I hope you liked this video. If so, don't forget to leave me a like and a comment, and we'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. for the daily news and to talk about the Binance news at the same time.